to how to help my team love coming to work again. My name is Swan. I'm the Chief of Staff here at the Transportation Cabinet. And the thing is, everybody wins when the leader gets better. So I'm glad that you are here and you are taking time to grow as a leader, because God knows we are not, we don't have a problem with too many good leaders these days. So thank you for doing that. I just ask for your teachable spirit, and this is going to be interactive. I'm going to talk about how to help our teams love come to work again, and there's two basic areas that we're going to focus on. And they're pretty simple. We're going to talk about you, and then we're going to talk about them. And that's the two halves of my talk today. So here's the thing. As you all are taking notes and just things that capture your attention and you're writing them down, I want to encourage you to write down some questions as they come to you, because I'm reserving our last 10 minutes for your thoughts and your questions, and then we're going to go from there. We're going to begin to just dive right in. So let's begin. First, I want to talk about what leadership is and what management is. Because management is very different from leadership, and I think a lot of us working in state government, it's easy for us to lose sight of that. Leaders are made, not born. So all of us that are here today are working at becoming a better leader. Now, I want us to be good managers. Management simply is the production of acceptable results within known constraints and conditions. Your boss says, I need you to take care of this, you need to come under budget, you need to get this done on time. Hey, that's great. And we need that because that's day to day, that's our process. But that's not leadership. So what is leadership? And it's funny, I kind of laugh because when you hear me say this, you're going to be like, is this what we're paying for today? Although, is everybody paying? Okay. Leadership, by definition, is simply moving people from here to there. Now, what is the challenge in that? This is America. They don't have to go anywhere. It's a free country. So leadership then is getting people to move from here to there. And you as a leader, you exert your influence and say to them, here is not working, but there is much better, and we all need to go there in order to have a better lives, better existence, whatever, to achieve the results that we want. And I, as the leader, will show you how to get there. And what's great is leaders, the best leaders, don't just say, I will show you. They say, hey, I think we need to go there. How do you think we should get there? Let's do this together, right? And then we can all learn from each other, because we all have various experiences and things that can add to that. So we go there by helping our teams and colleagues, not only by exerting influence to bring them along, but by unlocking their potential. And my friends, that's the highest calling of a leader, is to unlock the God-given potential in your colleagues. Now, you might not see all of it, and that's okay. You don't have to see all of what it is. You might not know, like Bill here, he can do these 5 different things. You might see 2 of them, but you can bank on this. He has potential that can be unleashed. Erwin McManus is a futurist, and he's a pastor of this amazing church where my sister lives in Los Angeles. My sister's one of those rent lifestyle aspiring actresses, And it's neat because the guy that got the Academy Award in Shape of Water, she just did a movie with. So who knows, you might get to hear Swan one day, out in some indie theater somewhere. But Erwin McManus was talking about, why is it that when we're born, we have all this unlimited potential and these dreams of what we can do, but somewhere between our first breath and our last, a lot of us become pretty ordinary. And that's sad. Why is that? Why is it that, when we're born and, as those teenage years and then our 20s, we're like, I can change the world, what I'm going to do. But then we get to 40 and 50 and 60. I turn 40 here next year, and now we're not dreaming anymore. What is it that we're not unlocking? Why are we giving up on our potential and the potential of those around us? And so I want to begin to talk about you and me as leaders. Because as leaders, we change the conditions of the culture and the order of things. Managers aren't doing that. They're not coming in and saying, we need to fundamentally change this manager, they're just trying to make it work within the constraints they're given. But a leader will walk in and say, this really needs to change. This is not how it should be. All right, so here's some crucial truths for you and me in our personal growth as a leader. And this is really my main takeaway for the whole day. And some of you have heard me say this before. Everyone takes their cues from the senior leader. Now think about that for a sec, because I think it's very easy for us to miss this. You and I look at the person we're following, and we begin to model what they're doing. For those of you that are parents, you know that your kids are copying you, and that scares a lot of us to death. Think about our parents. I was a professor before I spent. I came to serve in the Bevan administration, and one day I was in my classroom, and I went like this. I kind of sat on the side of the table, and I said, "You all blah blah," and everybody started chuckling, and I went, "What? Hey, what's so funny?" And it's kind of you're checking, what are they laughing at? And see, my dad was a professor, still is a professor at the college that I was teaching at. He's been a professor at Lindsay Wilson since 1985. And I said, "What's so funny?" And they said, "Your dad does that same thing." And of course I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that Dad kind of sits over the side of the table and just leans in, So we look at the cues the leader is giving off. People watch the leader and observe a lot of things. The leader sets the temperature and defines the values, both overtly and then very subtly. So here's the thing. If you and I are angry, cynical, impatient, critical of everything, guess what? Over time, those seeds that we plant begin to take fruit, and our teams become like that. And we think, like Chase set us up so well for this talk, hope is not a strategy. As the leader, we create that culture, and it will begin to take on who we are. But if we're joyful, if we're patient, we try to believe the best, we try to encourage, over time, guess what? Our teams become ones that people want to be on. And I want to give you all an example. I am extremely proud to work in the Kentucky Transportation Academy. This is my second time to work here. Now, I was here for Governor Fletcher. And, by the way, is it okay if I have some candor today? Just a little, candid truth, and hopefully some humor along the way. Everyone around me was indicted. They were. Jolene was here with me. Really, I was watching all these leaders. She didn't get indicted. When I left here in 2007, I went from the job I took was at a Christian camp with administering kids, and I literally made as much in a week as I made here in 3 hours. Now, why would you do that? Because I really needed a break. And in my mind, I was like, I will never go back there, okay? Not because of the people, just because of my experience and what had happened. I did not get along well with our secretary the last 2 years. He didn't care for me, and he made it very well known. So it took a lot. I never thought that I would be standing here today, but when Governor Bevan won, I got a call from his transition team basically saying, we really don't have anybody else. Would you leave academia and go to KYPC? That is not a reflection for those of you that work here. It's because of what had happened to Governor Fletcher. There were a lot of people that were like, I never want to get into the whole Leonard Lawson, all the contractors stuff, and then how you get in trouble, whatever. That's what they were afraid of. It wasn't our people or our mission. And so I kind of always joke with folks, and so they're like, well, we don't have anybody else. Asa, would you do it? Okay, thanks, I'm last. And you all, and with that, I knew that I was going to have to try to begin to change the culture here. And what happened is, as a lot of you know, we set out to create a culture that was more honoring and was more empowering. And what's amazing to me is, I think we've done that. No, we're not done. We've taken some good steps. We've had some real knocks along the way. But here's the thing, Will. In January of last year, I got a phone call, and it was a quiet one, like, hey, don't tell anybody I'm calling you. But a year after we began to do this, I began to get phone calls from members of the administration and other cabinets, and guess what they said? We've heard what you all are doing. Can I come work with you? And that first phone call, I really did have to pick my jaw off the floor, because I thought the cabinet that nobody wanted to go to. Now I have people secretly calling me from other cabinets saying, I want to be in a culture that honors people and values them and empowers them. So you all, what cues do we set off? Here's the thing. We compare ourselves to the leaders over us. So I want to ask you a question. Raise your hand if you've ever had a bad boss. Okay. Raise your hand if you have a bad boss now. No, I'm kidding. But here's the thing about a bad boss. What did we all take away from that? I will never do this or that, right? Now, what were you and I just doing? We're comparing with the leader. What cues was that bad boss getting off that we're like, I'm not doing that if I'm ever asked to lead? So actually there's a value in that. And that's why one of my sub-points with everyone takes their cues is that the truth is that in leadership, we don't attract what we want. We really do attract who we are. Who you are is what will draw people to you. If they're more joyful, if they're more celebratory, like celebrating good things along the way or encouraging, guess what? Those people are going to move towards you. But if you're more cynical, and we all have bad days. Like I don't mean, there's actually a lot of grace for those bad days where we are more cynical, angry, whatever. But if we're just angry people, or we're impatient, or we love to, if we're climbing that ladder and we're pulling people off as we go up, guess who you're going to draw? Those kind of people. So, all right. So what cues are you giving off? If you don't know what cues you're giving off, guess who does? Everybody else. Especially your mother-in-law. Your cues, if you need help with this, guess what? Most of us do. Self-awareness is required to answer this question. And self-awareness is learned. It's a learned behavior. What cues do I give off? Something that I did not know until about 4 or 5 years ago is there was a point where I honestly thought that I was smiling. I thought I was smiling because my eyes were bright, but guess what I didn't know? My cheeks weren't going up. I did not have a smile on my face. And it took a friend of mine to go, basically, are you smiling? I was like, yes. And she's like, mirror, no. And I didn't know that I wasn't smiling. I really thought I was. Another thing, I'm an ENFJ in Myers-Briggs. So the J in there is structure and planning. The P's are more like, let's go to Florida. And I would die. I'm like, okay, next year on this date, I will drive to Florida. I will stop and plan out. And it's all planned out. And I've learned that when a plan changes, I need a couple seconds in my mind. I call it picking the train up off this track and putting it on this one. And what I've learned to tell people is, hey, give me just a minute. Because my face, while I'm doing that, looks angry. Because what I'm doing is I'm changing all the logistics out. I'm not mad. But it could look like I'm giving off this cue. So, what cues, my friends, are you giving off? Are you patient? Do you allow people to interrupt you when you're hard at work, or are you too busy? Do you celebrate their successes and encourage them when they fail? There's a million questions that I could ask, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. Let me finish up this point. Here's the thing. If I were to ask the folks in your area, on your team, whether you're leading it or you're on it, what cues you give off, what do you think they would tell me? Like, what cues do you think they would say you're giving off? So that's just for you to think about, like, as we continue talking today. So here's what I want to encourage you with. If you already feel discouraged, I don't want that. I want you to know that you can start today to change the culture. You have that power. It can start with you, even if you're not in leadership. So finishing this up, Carly Fiorina was the first, one of the She was the first woman to lead a Fortune 5 company, like Hewlett Packard, okay? That's one reason why she was running for president several years ago. Carla Fiorina has this great point about what gets done is what's measured in an organization. So what are you measuring? Like, are you measuring the successes in your area? Like, if somebody does really well, or let me say this, let's say they give it all they've got and they totally fail. How do you respond to that? Like, is that being measured? Like, are you encouraging them? Is there like, we're going to have a celebration lunch, we did our best and we failed. But you did, guess what? Kind of like Edison, we learned another way not to do this, right? You know, and stuff like that. Measure the good things you want for your team. So here's really the summary you all, if everyone takes their cues from the senior leader, is just become the leader that other people would want to follow. And you can't do it all. If you've got like 9 things, like, hey, so these are my, I've got 9 things. You know what, you would have to change all 9 today. You can say, you know what, these 2, over the next few months, I'm really going to work on. Like, for example, I don't like to be interrupted. But you know what? You might need to be interrupted. I have a great story. When I was 4, maybe 5 years old, I'd say, yeah, 4 to 5. It's been a while. But anyway, when I was little, my sister and I were at a pool, and unbeknownst to my mother, the lifeguard just left. And I was standing there and I looked out in the pool and my sister was drowning. Like she was like underwater going like this. And I went, hey Mom, and Mom, don't interrupt me, I'm talking to Mrs. Grant. And I went, and I think I literally went and looked at you. And I went, Mom, and she said, son, I told you. I said, Eva's drowning. And then, you know, she ran and stuff. And you know, sometimes you need to be interrupted. That's just an example of a small thing. Because here's the thing, you all. And you know, I'm speaking generally, but if you can't be interrupted, what does that tell your team? I really am more important than you. And my time is more important. And you know what, there's sometimes where guys, I really need to focus on this. You can say, I need to get down and you know, make this happen here soon. So if you can, keep the whirlwind of busyness away from me today. So that's it. Becoming the leader that others want to follow. What cues are you giving off? So now, for the second part, I just want to talk about crucial truths about them. So, you all, self-awareness is not just about us, right? It's about what we see in other people, what they need, where they are, what they're doing. I think this is a real crisis in our world today. With our cell phones and with technology, guess what? We just don't see things anymore. I kind of hate to admit this, but I've lived here for 2.5 years, and about 2 months ago I noticed there was a cookout on 127. And it scared me. I was like, is this the Matrix? Did they change something, you know, on me? Like, I didn't see it. We're so busy, we're increasingly failing to see people. And this betrays a fundamental need that everybody has. I just need to be, do you see me? Do you see me? And my friends, we are called as leaders to really see people. I see you right there. I'm listening to you. You know, even if it's 5 minutes, here, I'm going to give you my 5 minutes. What can I do to help you in your corner of our world? Everyone has a strong need to be known and seen. And then everyone has a strong need to be valued. And that's what we're going to talk about for our teams today. Some people might have doubts. Asa, I'm introverted. I'm shy. I'm not good at seeing people. I don't feel like you're the ENFJ. That's, by the way, those with Myers-Briggs. We're relationally intelligent. It's one of our strengths. And you're like, I can't do that. But the thing is, if you work at it, you can begin to practice these disciplines, and I promise that you will get better. And you know what? You can ask for help. And in that humility of asking for help, there can be great strength in the connections that you build with people around you. Okay, so let me talk about being known and being valued. All right. So over and over, number one, we need to let our teams know that we see how hard they're working. I see what you're doing. Because think about it, well, I know, I'm not even going to ask for a show of hands. I know all of us in here at some point I thought, does anybody know that I'm doing this, right? We all think that. Does anybody know that I've done this for the good of the organization or whatever? Because we don't really feel seen. So what can we do then to help with that? Walk around. I have this thing called Walk With Me, and all it is I just try to get out of my little area in the secretary's office, and I walk around the floors. I make a point every week to walk on all the floors of this building. Now, I don't know that anybody really notices that, but what I'm trying to say is I just want people to know that I'm seeing you. I'm chief of staff. My job is to help lead the staff and keep the wheels running and be the best we can be. And so I'm trying my best with 4,246 people as of Tuesday to see everybody, and then I can know, right, what's going on. You can just be around. Last year at the Global Leadership Summit, we talked about being proximate. It's so hard to know what a problem is unless you actually get down into it. And now I'm in the problem. I'm learning about it. I'm proximate. Yes, I've seen it myself. Something I love, there's a tunnel in eastern Kentucky called the Dawkins, it's actually called the Clover Tunnel on the Dawkins Trail. And the secretary's asked me to kind of help lead on what we're going to do with this project. It's been stuck for years. And as usual, it's primarily a funding issue. But I finally, when our chief engineer, District 10, Corbett Cottle, I went to do my meet and greet there, I said, one of my priorities today is to go all the way out to that tunnel. So we drove up into the middle of nowhere, but now I've been in the tunnel. I've seen it. I've walked. It looked like, honestly, because it's filled in about a third of the way in. There's all this scary mist coming out of it. It looks like you're about to walk into hell. It really does. But you know what? I've been there. It's not just I'm talking about it. I've been briefed. No, I've seen it. I've seen what was done with the shotcrete and everything, and being proximate. Ask your team questions about their world. So how's this going today? How's this new process working? Just being around them. So my dean at Lindsay Wilson was a nice person, horribly relationally unintelligent. And when you got called by the dean's office, you were in trouble. That's the only time she called you. So guess what we all began to fear? Uh-oh, Betty's, I'm in trouble. Oh, geez. So anyway, I was at faculty retreat 5 years ago, and our president, who is the opposite, very relationally intelligent, casts vision, encourages us to follow him. Bill goes, he said, hey, anyone like this? By the way, there's 120 some faculty, and a lot of you all know, you remember your professors. Faculty is really like herding cats. I mean, everybody, my dad has this great quote about what is it about when you get a whole room full of PhDs, the collective intelligence goes down. Right? And it's true. So very cynical, very entitled, and they all know better than everybody else. And Bill went like this. Dr. Lucky goes, hey, can I just have everybody look up here for a second? Can I have everybody get off their phones? And I'm taking notes on my laptop. So I said, hey, could you, get off your laptop? So I kind of, what's he going to say? And he said, a lot of you guys, I don't really get to talk to you very much. But your students come and they talk to me. Because I go and I have lunch every day in the cafeteria, and the students come and they sit. He said, and so believe it or not, I hear about how you're doing in your classrooms and basically the job you're doing as a professor. And then he went like this. He said, what I want you to know is I see you, and you matter to me. And you all, I have not had a kudos or a good job from leadership at Lindsay for a long time. And to my embarrassment, I began to tear up. I didn't even know that I was that desperate or empty. I had to lean back at my table and go like this because I had tears that began to come out of my eyes because all he said is, I see you. And that's when I learned that people have a desire to be known. They don't need a parade. It's not, a lot of us would die if there was a parade for us. But they just want to know, hey, do you see me? Am I valued here? And so we as leaders, that is so crucial. If we're missing that, we've missed the call to leadership. So last thing on really seeing people is, that's why I decided 2 years ago to begin doing meet and greets in our cabinet. And it was really neat because in March, I've now been to every division and every office in this organization. I have this chart that I'm very proud of, and I was one by one, week by week, and it took 2 years. But I met over almost 2,000 of us one-on-one. And guess what? I know a lot more about KYTC now than when I got that phone call from the transition team. I actually do know a little bit about what's going on in District 2, Denitra, with you. Or District 4, Paul, with your team there. Because you've shown me, you've told me about it, and I've gotten to see. So then the second thing, over and over, we need to let our teams know that we value them and the work they're doing. Now, you all, this is so simple, right? In fact, I'm not going to tell you anything like hugely jaw-dropping. There's so many ways to do this. Notes of appreciation, lunches as a team, donuts in the morning, honoring them in front of each other. By the way, when you honor someone publicly, guess what happens? You gain influence with them privately. Being flexible, giving them grace when they totally blow it. There's just so many ways to say, hey, I value you. I really do. Hey, this person came and they criticized your work, blah, 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 but guess what? I want to hear from you first. And let me tell you, if there's anything I've learned as chief of staff of 4,200 people, is there is always another side to a story. Always. Always. Even if it's just 10% the other direction. So these are things we can do. And I want to say, don't miss one that's easy and free, because most of us work in state government, we don't have a lot of extra money that we can spend. You know what you can do that really lets your people feel valued? Give them access to your world as the leader. Let them walk around with you. Let them just know what you are dealing with. Because now, guess what? They feel valued being included. And then where they really feel valued is when you say, hey, I've got this problem, what do you think I should do? And now, they said, you know what, I actually really want to tell you this. I have experience in this area, blah, blah, blah. So that's something that's an easy one. Another one is just learn about their lives. Because I heard one of my pastors years ago in Campbellsville had this great line about whenever you meet somebody, there's always something going on behind that set of that pair of eyes. Everybody has something that's going on in their lives. So what is it? Now this is a professional work environment. We don't want to go too far or force ourselves into somebody's life. But here's the thing, you can just ask them, hey, what's going on in your life? Because as much as we try to compartmentalize, their home life, the things they're wrestling with, is sitting there at their computer with them. It is. So why don't we just deal with it? Let's allow for including that in what we get to know about them, learning about them, and let them know that we care. Horst Schulze, you all, has this great line. He's the founder of the Ritz-Carlton. Okay, rags to riches. When Horst Schulze was born just after World War II, he's German. They lived near the Black Forest. Guess what his family did? They scrounged in the forest for food. Poor as dirt, nothing. Germany's destroyed because of what they've done to the world. And he begged his parents he wanted to be a bellboy. And this is like in German culture where you became an engineer, a technician, And he said, and I'm going to do a little bit of his accent, he said, I begged my mother on my knees, I want to be a bellboy and go into the hotel business. And so at 14, she let him do it. And guess what? We're talking about Ritz-Carlton today because a guy that had nothing decided to learn how to serve others. And here's what he said. Loyalty begins the moment somebody realizes that you care about them. Now, I'm not talking about manipulating them. People pick up on that real quick. If you feign you care, that might last a few weeks, but then they're just using me. But if you genuinely care about somebody, guess what? They begin to care about what you think, and they will follow you to the ends of the earth. And that's why, as we build teams that know we care about them, doesn't mean you can do everything. You can't, you're not their mom and their dad, or we're not God or whatever. But I, as your boss, or as your colleague on this team, I will do what I can to help you become the best you can be, and also with whatever, as the bad things of life happen, I'll help you in those. Because here's the thing, it's not like anybody else is doing that for you. So when we show that caring, loyalty begins. All right, so let me close just a little bit with them about this. Marcus Buckingham, we have 5 minutes left here and then 10 minutes for our questions. He blew my mind last year at the Global Leadership Summit. when he said, why do we spend so much of our time trying to fix our weaknesses? He said, you might get 10% better if you fix a weakness, but guess what? Why don't you work on your strengths? That's where you have all this, I'm good at this. I can do this. This is what I'm built for. And a lot of us that were there, we walked away like, yeah, why didn't I ever think of that? But here's what his research has shown. These are 8 things, 8 values of high-performing teams. Number 1, I am really enthusiastic about the mission of my company. In my team, I'm surrounded by people who share my values. My teammates have my back. I have great confidence in my company's future. Those are called the we statements. Now here are the me statements. At work, I clearly understand what is expected of me. I have a chance to use my strengths every day at work. I know I will be recognized for excellent work. And in my work, I am always challenged to grow. So, isn't that interesting? People feel like they want to be a part of something bigger, but they also want to be valued personally. So, we as a leader, we have to see them, we have to value them, and then guess what? We have to cast a vision. Vision, when I say vision, I don't just mean, hey, this year we're going to accomplish this, but these are our values defining who we are over and over again. I wrote down that quote Chase said about the pool. That, vision, it'll evaporate if you don't keep refilling it. And I can give you a great example of this. Okay, we all know what Coca-Cola is, right? Then why do they advertise? Because they want to bring it in front of us all the time. We forget. We're busy. There's things we're worried about. There's things we're trying to do. And the Coca-Cola reminds us during the Olympics, right? And during just about everything, hey, you should drink a Coke and feel better. So we have to keep casting that vision and reminding them of the values of the culture. They're waiting for us to do this. They want us to do this. And here's the thing, you all. If you ever wondered, hey, so I've told my team, I think, I want them, you don't have to wait on me. Well, why do you think they won't make a decision without you? Can I suggest that maybe they don't know what the vision is? Because when they know what you value as the leader, then guess what? Some scenario comes over here and they go, okay, well, Asa said that we're supposed to do this, and we're supposed to do this, and then save money this way. Hey, I think we could do that. Now, because they've been given the vision, you go, this is why, I won't get into the whole details of this, this is why when you fly Southwest, and you try to change a flight, they will do that for you. And it doesn't look like they're refinancing their mortgage for an hour, right? Like United or Delta or whatever. Oh, I don't know, they got to get this binder out. How do we can do that? But guess what Southwest, all those employees know? Save money for people so that people can fly cheaply, get people out of the gate quickly, and keep them happy. So when you ask to get on that earlier flight, which okay, well, let me see. Well, there's empty seats on it, so it's not going to cost us anything. And it makes you happy, and it's not going to slow down getting out the gate. Okay, you can do that. See? They know from the CEO what's expected of them. All these other companies, well, I don't know that we can get. You know how it is. All right. So when we remember that everyone takes our cues from their senior leader, and we do these things like seeing them, valuing them, letting them know what the vision is, because guys, nobody comes to work to be mediocre. Do we? At least not at first. I came to work to be excellent and be good. So why then do people begin to give up and despair? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. I actually thought about opening by saying the way to make your team happy, give them a raise. Thank you. And you know what? It's been a while for state government workers. It's been 10 years. And we're dealing with a lot of things that draw people down and make them give up and draw them into hopelessness. But what we can do is the things we talked about today, by seeing them and valuing them, casting it as within they're empowered, they know what to do. When we remember to take our cues from the senior leader, when we intentionally grow our self-awareness to give off healthy cultural cues, like really seeing them, valuing them, casting a strong vision, and guess what? They'll begin to love coming to work again. And who knows? Others might even begin to ask if they can join you on your team. So, what are your questions? What can we talk about? All I ask is you keep them succinct so we can get as many in as possible in our remaining 10 minutes. This is where the professor in me begins to go, so, Eric, what do you think about all that? I love it. What really, you've had some thoughts. What can I maybe speak into? Where you wondered, like, based on my situation is this, or probably, what do you think? All right, so let me just keep thinking, raise your hand if you think of something. Let me ask you this. What is something next week that you could start on right away? I wrote down a couple of things about if we had extra time, just some tidbits. And let me just throw them out real quick. I really would encourage you all to let your teams know that they can take a risk. If people are told they can't fail, then they're never going to take a risk for you. They have to know that if they can fail, that it doesn't mean they're going to be fired. Now, you're going to talk about why they failed. But there's a difference between giving all you've got and being negligent, right? So one is, we did our best. We're trying to figure it out. Make sure your teams know, guys, you can totally blow it. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to believe the best about you until we know what happened. But know that they can fail and let them risk. Let's help them grow and get better, like by being willing to take time and use our resources to unleash their potential. I heard this line the other day, people really don't want feedback. That's just, hey, you didn't do this, blah, 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 that was good, see ya. They want coaching. They want you to be in it with them. So that takes time because everybody's different. And that's really one of the hard parts of leadership is when you've got 12 people, all of them actually need you to lead them a little bit differently. There's similar values, but then the way that translates, like 5 love languages. A handwritten note to someone might make their day. Someone else, thanks, but you get them a gift. Oh my gosh, how did you know that's my favorite type of chocolate? Or whatever. And then finally, if you all want to grow more this year as a leader, I have one thing every year that I don't miss. Like, I plan around it. You might guess what it is. It's the Global Leadership Summit. It's going to be this year, August 9th and 10th. There's sites all over the world. There's one in Lexington, there's one in Louisville, there's one in Paducah, and there's one in Murray. So there's a group rate. If any of you are interested in going, you can go with us, because about half to all of our lead team here goes. With the group rate, it's going to be no more than $129 for both days. It might be less. I'm working on that. But I'm telling you all, no 2 days in my year is more refreshing, deeply refreshing, more empowering. I'm not kidding. I spend 5 weeks thinking through stuff, and it just makes you want to take on the world. Because they have people like Condoleezza Rice and Erwin McManus, Bill Hybels, like all these great leaders that come and they speak and they just tell you, this is what I've learned. So like Chase said this morning, you can just steal all their ideas and not reinvent the wheel. So shoot me an email. It's acjames.swan@ky.gov. I'm just going to stop. How about this? We've got 6 minutes to the next session. So if you have any questions, I'd love to talk to you individually. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you the rest of today.